United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So you're postponing your singing engagement till
Yes,
next time? Okay.
Glenn and I will lead the group next time.
Okay. I'll bring the pitch pipe. You guys can
Bring
do the
some
pitch.
words.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Nola Judd, here. Ken Hayes, Ron Bell. Here. Sue Ford. Here. Ted Miller. Norma Turner.
Here.
Maggie Roth. Here. Steve Burke.
Here.
Celinda Barkhouse. Glenn Wiggins.
Here.
Connie Beauvais. Present. Barbara Christensen. Present. Rod Fleck. Mike Doherty.
Here.
Don Corson.
Here.
And just for the record, all the members that are not here notified us that they would not be. I guess that we call them excused absences or whatever the language is. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Did you all get them?
The request for modifications to the agenda.
Oh. It's not even on here, but we'll do it anyway. Any additions or modifications to the agenda? So by consensus, you're adopting the agenda, except we have to.
Excuse me, we need to postpone that one item
Yeah.
indefinitely.
We will. So the one modification is we are going to delete the legal counsel report from this agenda. And we'll see at the next meeting or two. You can have that. So that will be the modification. Other than that, the agenda it will be as listed. Okay, consensus is yes. Now we're on to the minutes. Have you all had a chance to read them?
Will we accept them as written? Nola?
I'm waiting for a second. Moved by Nola, seconded by Steve, that we adopt the Charter Review Commission minutes of May 18th as written. Those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Abstain.
Connie abstained because she wasn't present. Okay. So you have correspondence for us, Trish?
We do. We have an email link to the YouTube video from Stephanie Noblin for 518 meeting. And a series of emails that were forwarded to you from Brian Boreen. First one, John O'Brien affidavit PDF and a Post Atlantic City PDF that have to do again with mortgages. A link to a site that says Fresno at epicenter of institutionalized industrial mortgage fraud. Banks don't own your debit note, or your debt note, excuse me. Another one, Equius Compliance Solutions, Mortgage Regulatory Compliance Audit Products and Services. And John Miller sent one in advance of the last meeting on Friday, May 15th, regarding the elected director of Department of Community Development. And he believes that should be appointed. And then Celinda emailed you a link to an article she wrote of an email that she sent to the county commissioners regarding the opportunity funds grants to the port. That's what I have.
Thank you. So the next thing on our agenda is our public hearing. And so the basic rules around the public hearing, but before we get to that, I handed you out all a questionnaire. You'll please take the time to fill it out, and you can hand it in, save yourself a stamp.
I didn't.
No, it's for the audience.
Oh, thank you.
It's the same questionnaire that, yeah. And one of the things about it is that because we limit your presentation to 3 minutes, we know that in 3 minutes you can't actually address all the issues that are on the questionnaire. So this will allow you to give us your view on more than one thing. So you can address anything on this questionnaire, or you can address anything that's not on the questionnaire. You are not limited to these topics. You would be limited to a 3-minute presentation, and then the Charter Review Commission members will have 3 minutes where they can ask you questions. If you want to answer, you may. If you opt not to answer, that's okay too. A question should just be clarifying questions. So anything else that I've left out that we need to? So the first person, I don't have the sign-in sheet, but with the small size of the audience, it's okay. Who wants to be up first? It's gonna be a short hearing. Okay.
My name is Sylvia Hancock. I live in Squim. I came here tonight because I'm going to be out of town for the Angeles and Squim hearings. And I felt that item number 7 is such an important issue. I wanted to be sure to address it. Should the charter be amended to appoint the director of the Department of Community Development by the county commissioners? I feel this is a critical issue. I was very active in the campaign of one of the candidates all through last summer. So I know how arduous political campaigns are. And I think it's a total waste of time for an official as important as our community development director. We have enough issues they should be focused on instead of wasting time campaigning. And another part of that process, which you don't see so visibly, is the need to raise money for the campaign. Campaigns are very expensive, not only in time, but resources. Furthermore, the act of campaigning for an official like the Director of Community Development, almost without, no matter how high their morals are, it raises, if not an actual conflict of interest, it raises the appearance of a conflict of interest. For example, I was reported in the paper as someone who contributed the absolute maximum to the campaign of Mary Ellen Winborn. What if I file for a change to my property, which I might well do? I live right on the beach. I might want to build a berm to protect my house. If that is approved, will people say, yeah, no wonder hers was approved. She contributed, what was it, $2,700 to Mary Ellen's campaign. And that's not that unlikely that something like that, an issue like that, would be erased. In fact, it was in the case of our prior elected community development person. And it costs the county a lot of money to investigate those charges. And it was shown in the report that there was favoritism. However, it was allowed because she was an elected official. We need professionalism. We need not to have time wasted by political campaigns. We need for there to be integrity in the office. And the county commissioners who oversee an appointed person in that position provide the political oversight to that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Sylvia? Okay. Thank you.
show up in the Forks form, I don't need it.
Well, it's coming in the, it's not, it was just delivered to the
Okay.
PDN last
Okay.
week, and it's
Don't
coming
eat
out
up
in
the
the
time.
next.
So really what I want to get to tonight is I heard during the development of this phase of where we're at in the charter review, something of, there was a lack of understanding of, by at least a couple of the commissioners, dealing with something called a human environment. One of those individuals is not here tonight, and boy, I'd really like to let them know what the human environment is. You know, it's said this charter is a constitution. The constitution locally that supplements our state constitution and our U.S. Constitution. And I'm a bit perturbed that we can't even focus on the human environment as our #1 charter amendment. And I think that's where we have to be. There's nothing that I need more than what supports me as a human being. The environment itself, I'm a part of it, and I expect to see that throughout this Charter Review Commission, whatever gets submitted forward. I understand you've got quite a list on your questionnaire. I doubt everything's going to make it, but it's got to be focused on human environment. And if you don't understand what human environment is, that's the citizen, and how we survive, and how we sustain ourselves, and how we live. I'm the human environment. You don't have to Google to find out what I am, the human environment. So that's my emphasis tonight. I'll be at the other, at least one of the other hearings, and I'll bring up more when I can study the questionnaire. I'm not for quite a few of these things on this questionnaire. I believe in voting for important people to oversee my life. So I will say that as far as a community development director, I want that to be an elected position, because I believe I'm the one that should have a say in who that person is, not an appointed position. I have too many people, too many staff people that interject their opinion into the equation. They think they know what's best. Well, the only way I'm going to agree to allow them to interject their opinion is if I vote for them, or if I have the chance to vote for them, not an appointed position. If they're appointed, they don't deserve an opinion. There's nothing in the Constitution that says any employee of the government is entitled to an opinion. And that goes along with this human environment. What are you doing to support me, the human being? What are you doing to support me, the citizen, in surviving in this county? And that's what I expect this charter to do. I expect it to be the Constitution it needs to be at the local level, and supplement what I can't get from my U.S. or state constitution. Thank you.
Ed, if you have anything else you want to say, we
No,
didn't
I'm
cut
good.
Sylvia off, so if you want a couple more minutes.
I'm worn out tonight, thank you.
I got a question.
Okay.
Two questions. One, is that your understanding of the human environment, is that generally accepted out there, or is that just your kind of concept of what that would mean?
That's what I understand to be the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. I think what we need to do here locally is the human environment we need to focus on what the purpose of the Constitution is to support the human beings. That's what it's about. I'm the human environment. The citizens of this county are the human environment. They have a purpose. We need to support that, and I need to see that in the charter. Thank you.
Ed, here's a,
I'm okay.
Questionnaire.
I'm okay.
Oh.
I did the online thing. So I'm
oh, okay. Any other questions? So, anyone else like to speak?
It's all right.
Bob Ford, I live in Clallam, Washington. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for the having this out in Clallam or in Forks. Everything's in Clallam. I'd like to speak to the directorship as well. There's a principle at work here that the proponents of the appointment seem to miss. So I'm going to try to clarify or focus on that a little bit. And it speaks a little bit to what Ed was talking about, although human environment seems like it's an abstract new term in my lexicon. So, but Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution, I think makes it very clear that all political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed to elect, maintain individual rights. Now, the individual rights that are protected perhaps could extend to the concept of human environment. That's for somebody else to discuss, not me. The idea of an appointment, appointments always, without exception in my view, are political payback. They are political payback in one form or another. For the people to vote in a democratic election for a position of that magnitude, I think is critical to the free exercise of a democracy to protect and maintain individual rights. The idea that there's a cost and an effort and a sweat to run for a political campaign, if we're gonna do that, why don't we just appoint everybody? Appoint the county commissioners, appoint the fire chief, appoint everybody. That's not a valid reason to eliminate the elective process and that level of responsibility. And in a final note, I talked to Mary Ellen Winborn sometime back, a couple of weeks maybe, and she and I had a very interesting discussion. Of course, all you're gonna get is hearsay from me, but you can check it with her. We discussed this in great detail, and she ended up agreeing with me that the elective process was critical to protect and maintain individual rights, as per Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution. So we have it in the Constitution already. Mr. Bowen's suggesting that it be in the charter. It's already memorialized in the charter, and that's the way it ought to stay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Wait, Bob, if you have any other couple comments you want to make, we didn't cut Sylvia off, so I'm not cutting anybody off.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so
Question? No?
I have a
Yes.
question. Of course, here. Following your line of logic, should the public works director or city or county engineer be elected as well?
Are you talking about the county engineer?
I am.
Is that something you want?
No, I'm asking you, following
The
your
director.
your logic.
Well, I'm not talking about the county engineer. I'm talking about the director.
I'm
of
talking
public
about
works.
a similar kind of position, and following your logic, should that position also be elected?
I don't think it's necessary at the moment, but if it were,
Following your logic, should it be?
well, I'm not talking about the county engineer. You want to talk about the fire chief? What other department do you want to interject in there to divert the conversation? I'm talking about the director of community development. That's the issue, not the county engineer.
Same kind of issues.
I disagree with you.
Any other clarifying questions?
Historically, the county engineer was an elected position way back when.
And now it's based on competence, correct?
Same with fire chief, I think.
In fact, that's the one thing that the original charter did, is change the clerk of the Superior Court to an appointed position. Anyone else who wishes to speak?
Stephanie Noblin, Port Angeles. Nice to see you again, commissioners. So I'm going to do a quick bullet point I've already given this to Trish about the items that I'd like to see moved forward to the November ballot or placed on a recommendation list for the Board of County Commissioners. I'm just going to go read them. Number 1, change cooperation to coordination in the charter. But I caution that this will need explanation for the public because they won't get it. So, number 2, election to home rule charter should occur every 4 years. 3, system, the grand jury must be independent of the judiciary as well as the county prosecutor. The grand jury is not currently being used in Washington. However, the statutes are in place to utilize it. Number 4, encourage the Board of County Commissioners to provide a mechanism for meeting transparency in local government, making all business meetings more transparent by streaming them to the internet or local cable PEG television. Coordinating the efforts with the city of Port Angeles is recommended. This all has to do with the Wave cable contract. And the county and the city both have one. Number 5, when electing commissioners to charter review, no candidate can hold another elected position in the county or any of its cities. This commission will be made up of private citizen commissioners. 6, county commissioners should be elected by district in the general election. 7, require that all land use and environmental ordinances be approved by a vote of the people. This takes in shoreline master plan, critical ordinances, in-stream flow rules, comprehensive plans, and those changes that are proposed by mandate. Number 8, reconvey the Clallam County Trust forest lands back to the county and have them managed by the county under the forest practices rules for private forest lands. And number 9, provide that belonging to any organization may not be made a condition for employment by the county. Membership should be optional. So these are things that are brought up at other meetings.
Anybody have any questions for
What was
Stephanie?
number 5, Stephanie?
I'll give you a copy of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've got some more.
Could you give one to the clerk?
Yeah.
I did give one to the clerk. I've got
Okay,
two
well,
more.
that'll come out in our packets.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Stephanie?
I'm here.
Hearing none, do we have anyone else who'd like to testify? Okay, seeing no hands, we will then declare the public hearing closed. And we have this abbreviated agenda. So the next thing on our agenda is good of the order. I would like to start in the good of the order by giving a special thank you to several people for getting the questionnaire done. Trish stayed after our last meeting and took the format and put it into the suggested format that Nola had, and that's, have you all seen the questionnaires that was completed? Here, let's pass these around. And so then that was sent out the very next day to the printer, and the printer got right on it and got it done in time. Barb picked it up and delivered it to PDN. And they called and said yes, and he gave me the dates, and I've forgotten them, but it'll be in the span of about the next 10 days. It'll be in the Swim Gazette, Forbes Forum, and the PDN. And the protocol, I understand, picked up their 10,000. I don't know when their paper comes out, but I think pretty soon. And then Steve Burks has been the chief in charge of getting our survey onto the Survey Monkey. The paper's been real good about mentioning that, so there we already have 109 responses onto the Survey Monkey. And he has also offered, kindly, to be in charge of any paper questionnaires that come back. He will then plug them into the Survey Monkey, so we'll have all the data in one place. And if it gets overwhelmed, he's gonna let us know,
We'll
right?
pass them out, and everybody will chip in.
So I thank all of you for a great team effort of getting this launched. So that's my good of the order. So Connie, do you have anything you want to raise?
I don't.
Okay, Don? Maggie?
No.
Sue? Nope. Steve?
I had a question, and maybe this, I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I saw on some of the responses back from the questionnaires about that last, the last topic that you brought up about county employees not needing to be members. What all does that, what exactly does that mean? Because I've heard it mentioned several times. Is that like a union thing, or is that?
Close shop.
I don't know, that would be Stephanie, is that one of your points you made, so you want to answer?
Right, sometimes people applying for jobs, it's mandatory for them to join a union. This way they would have an option to join the union.
And right now, it's mandatory that they join the union.
And that's for government employee unions.
Okay, that's all, I just had I didn't know what all that meant.
Okay. Barb? Mike?
So prior to this meeting, I think at 5 o'clock, there was a League of Women Voters sponsored event which laid out sort of the constitutional framework for home rule charters, state constitution, federal constitution. I found it very informative, and there'll be one 4:30, I think, or 5 prior to swim in Port Angeles, and I'd encourage everybody to sit in. It's a pretty bright young attorney, gave the summary, but had a lot of interaction among the 7 or 8 people that were here.
The Port Angeles, it'll be 4:30, and in Squim, it'll be 5. And it'll be held in the same meeting room, so you can just come a little early, but he did a really nice job of putting all those in context.
It is 5 now, not 6.
No, we're talking about the League of Women Voters, discussion around constitutional laws, state law. It'll be 4:30, I think, in PA, and 5 o'clock in Squim.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to videotape that next week, so if you miss it, you can get it online.
Glenn?
Stephanie, you mentioned number 8 here, reconvey the county trust forest lands to the county. Do you have any ideas as to how you would think that should be done?
That's not my area of expertise. Can you help with that, Ed?
For reconveying, or how to manage them once they're reconveyed?
No, the reconveyance.
Well,
That's, yeah.
I think I'm looking for you all to move that forward, that idea, and then let the lawyers jump in and figure out what needs to be done, and let that money come back to the county.
And, if I can speak, I don't believe we can do that unilaterally. It has to be done at the state level as well, so it would at least get the ball rolling in a good direction.
I just wondered if they had any thoughts in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it took the state to
Yeah,
actually
we can't
do
just
it.
do it.
Noah?
I had a couple of questions, and they may be basically the same thing. If there are issues that surface here that need more in-depth studying than we've been able to do at this point, will we have the opportunity, how do we do the opportunity of moving them to the next election if that seems appropriate, if there still needs to be more work done? I'm hearing there are 2 or 3 of them that we don't have enough. I don't know, maybe with the next 2 public hearings, we'll get more information too.
We will just have to have that discussion when the hearings are over, and then we reconvene and start talking about what we've heard and what we want to move forward.
That's
And
part of
you-
that segment.
Yeah, that'll be part of that discussion. Okay. I have one other good of the order, and it's so brilliant that it's gone. I'll save it for next week. So, Steve, yes, Ron, yes, you have for the good of the order.
Well, this is not necessarily for the good of the order, but I do appreciate that I was able to participate by telephonic participation. Thank you.
Good. Well, we're hoping you're in a good place.
Yes.
Okay, so hearing no other comments, I will declare us adjourned. That is on record of our shortest charter meeting yet.